Good morning, YouTube. I'm out here in northern Oklahoma. This is a place I worked for about 2.5 years as an oilfield truck driver, and I did everything from hauling, water, rig service, hauling crude oil. And I'm going to explain to you this morning what the best I feel truck driving job in the oil fields is by far, and why. But first, I'd like to explain what I wouldn't get into and what I dislike the most, and that would be a job where you're on call, that the company does not adhere to DOT regulations or anything, and they just run you 20, 30 plus hours straight. First job I had did that to me. I quit immediately and found the job hauling oil out here, and I fell asleep driving a 130 barrel tanker. I was on for 20 something hours straight, and I had been up all afternoon and went to go to bed finally. No calls all day. I'm in bed 15 minutes and they call me to go out and run, and like I said, I fell asleep after about 20 something hours of working straight on the way back to coming into the yard. And right as I about went off the shoulder, I woke up, thankfully. But just dangerous. That's not worth your life or somebody else's life. And yep, so that's something I'd avoid doing altogether. There's some good on-call jobs, but they run you a normal shift after you get behind the wheel. I heard down in what the heck is it, South Texas right now, they're much busier, and there's guys hauling frac sand, I guess, making water, frac sand, taking home $4,000+ per week. Crazy. Things have slowed down considerably up here. I don't know what's going on up here, if it's earthquakes or the wells are drying up a little bit. I'm not sure, but this place used to be slamming up here. Looked like candlesticks in the middle of the night, all the rigs they were fracking, and the flares going off after they fracked a well and burning off the gas. But I'll explain to you what the best truck driving oil field job is by far, I think. If you want to stay in the oil fields long term, not just come in, make some money for a year or two, would be hauling crude oil. But particularly if you can get a job of a pipeline owner hauling crude oil, and they by far have the biggest profit margins, deep pockets, you're going to get the best health insurance. I had almost $500,000 of life insurance coverage on me when I was employed by them, and quarterly bonuses for having no spills or accidents that equaled several $1,000s a year. I think towards the end there I was working about 45 hours a week and averaging 96 to 100 a year. It's crazy. But yeah, there are a lot of good truck driving jobs out there in oil fields, but long term, if you think about it, the frac crew comes in, they're only out there for so many days. They haul the water off, things like that. But once the well is up and producing, it can produce for decades. So why not do something that's going to be more stable and long term? It is really life-changing. I met a guy that come out from California up here, and he stayed about the same 2 years in the same oil job. And he was driving an old 1980s Toyota Tercel. And at the end of the 2 years, he drove home in a brand new Yukon, and had a huge down payment for a house. I paid off my debt so quick, and my credit score shot up, oh man, probably 150 points in no time. And it can be life-changing, but it can also spoil you. When you go home, unless you can get a real decent job. I'm blessed to have the job I finally found now, but the first job I took, $16 an hour, no overtime, and always yelling at you for driving crappy equipment, man, it can spoil you. Just be careful. All right, guys, thanks for listening.